So we're here now with CBS 6 political analyst Dr. Bob Holsworth. Of course, thank you for coming in tonight. So many issues were discussed tonight, everything from the car tax to the government shutdown to transgender policies. Who do you think won tonight's debate?
You know, I think at the end of the evening it was a pretty good night for Abigail Spanberger. In some ways, Winsome Earl-Sears was able to put her on the defensive on two issues. Spanberger never really said whether she still endorsed Jay Jones for Attorney General, and she was, I think, pretty uncomfortable talking about the trans issue as well. But at the same time, Sears, I think, said that she didn't think that, you know, if you were against gay marriage, that was discrimination, or even taking, people wouldn't get jobs if they were gay, that wasn't discrimination. But I think the big issue was just her demeanor and the constant interruptions. Didn't look very gubernatorial, and I think by contrast, that really helped Abigail Spanberger.
She did keep hitting on the Jay Jones thing. She kept trying to bring it back. Abigail, why won't you say this, Abigail? How do you think Abigail Spanberger handled that? And what do you think about Sears bringing it up again and again?
Well, Spanberger certainly wasn't comfortable talking about it. By and large, she repeated what she had said previously. I thought it was terrible, it was disgusting, he shouldn't have never done that. I never talk about political violence. And she said that to Sears, now, why don't you condemn Donald Trump when he does? You only condemn Democrats, you don't condemn Republicans. And at the same time, I think she then refused to say, however, that she was going to endorse Jay Jones right now. And so she kind of threw him halfway under the bus, you might say. She didn't say that he should get out, but on the other hand, she didn't make any argument on his behalf. Yeah. And I think that's really where she wanted to be tonight at the end of the day. You know, and the dilemma for the Republicans is that it's very rare that the bottom of the ticket is going to control what happens at the top. That it more likely runs the other way. Now, this is a little different, but I don't think Abigail Spanberger was really harmed too much tonight.
Yeah, and there's something that you mentioned earlier, and it was very noticeable throughout the entire debate, but Earl-Sears constantly interrupting Spanberger. I assume this was a strategy that she had. Do you think it was effective?
No. I think this was like a Trumpian strategy. I'd have to say I've watched debates in Virginia for 4 decades now, and maybe I'm just a bit of an old fogey on this, but I've never seen anybody with the kind of performance that Earl-Sears put on tonight, the constant interruptions. In fact, for much of the debate, you couldn't even hear Spanberger's answers because Sears was interrupting and they never muted the mics. My sense is that Sears is behind in the polls. She has to appeal to independent voters, by and large in the suburbs, and I don't think that tactic was very effective tonight, especially when you consider that Donald Trump, for example, is 12 points underwater in the polls in Virginia. Not a very good strategy for Sears. I think it was very ineffective.
Well, we always love your perspective, and thank you so much for coming to see us tonight.
Great to be here again.
Yes, indeed. And remember, you can head to WTVR.com to learn more about the election by searching for the 2025 Virginia Voters Guide. There, we have important voting deadlines and information about the candidates.